Hi, Joey.
Hello.
How is Vancouver?
Usually it's the other way around. I've never met somebody in person, and now I'm adjusting to having our visits at the beach, and here we are
I
in Zoom.
know, I know, I know. Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
This is our little
Yeah.
spot. Yeah, it's like I'll show you around.
Oh, look at you. Oh, green, green, tent.
Yeah, yeah. That's we put that up because Ben had a sleepover a while back, and so they slept outside. The two
Uh,
little boys.
Yummy.
Yeah, it was
Yummy.
good. So
Camping
we
at
just haven't
home
taken it
party.
down yet.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear what's going on, and you have some cool stuff you do. My goodness.
Well, I know I'm curious to hear how you received. I mean, your response and your receiving is just so loving and so full. And there's also this curiosity how it connected for you, because I know when we first met and just kind of stumbled into each other at the beach, there was sort of this spark of like, oh, this is something. There's something new here. There's something fresh here. And then you read a little bit of my writing, and there was a little bit more. And yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how it lands and how it connects for you, and
Well,
delighted to.
it's cool. I didn't get to open one of them because I had to do some software update that I still haven't got around to. But I read that one section you had, and it was like it seems like we might be playing in a similar way with the universe. So because it's like I just like the way it was so direct, but from a space of unknowing. Because it's like the more I see our progression and what we're doing a lot of stuff in the physical world, and and then we went very much towards an energetic, like nothing's real and you can play with anything you want to play with and do anything you want, to another version of, yeah, but it's still very cool and important to play in the physical world too. And so your words kind of made me feel, I could feel it, um, like I'll just describe it this way. One of my things that I find real powerful is this thing that's a sort of a meditation, but it's a way to go directly to what something is without the words, and to just experience
Yes.
it just as it is, without like a technique or some sort of practice or some kind of thing, and to just be there. And then what I've noticed is a lot of stuff changes for us in the physical world. So like the money, the relationships, the work with clients, the all sorts of stuff. And so it seems like you're, the way you were talking about how you communicate with people, you're in that space of like there's no trying to do something here. And so it just intrigued me, like one part of it was like wow, tell me more about how you play in the world. And then another part of me, because we've had to figure out the business side of stuff, was like, wow, how does she make a living? Like, how does she live in Vancouver? Like,
All of those
because yeah,
questions.
and
Yeah.
and also because I do because I play in all these, both worlds, because it's like I finding the business side of stuff and the physical side of stuff and the having a family side of stuff are really big windows into shifting me. Like if I
Mhm.
didn't have all that stuff going on, then it'd be like I could just you know whatever. I think I don't know, I could be like all spiritual or something, or like I could just run and live in a little apartment, and that's okay. But because I have a family and a business, and we had to figure out how to make money after a crazy time of all the stuff that happened to us over the last few years, and having everything go to zero and then come back up. I've had to figure stuff out, and those having to figure things out have been big windows to figure myself out. Like the stuff I really wanted to get, I've had a lot of opportunities. Some would call it pure terror to opportunities to figure stuff out. So when you had the part about the way you talk with people, and it's just without any kind of process, I thought, oh, she's doing something cool. So I just thought I wanted to find out about it.
Yeah, so there's a lot here, and thank you.
Oh, sure.
It's sort of entry point into the discussion, and it's always good to reference the personal, because of course what's deeply personal carries the wisdom of the universal, right? And so
yeah,
as you're touching upon and as your process refers to each area of your living experience, your family life, your business life, the physical, the work, and all of it, and it refers to them as windows. There's this resonance here, and it brings forward for me sort of this underlying principle for me in this work, and from the process, from the perspective of embodied intelligence, all of these processes, of course, are interconnected. And so it really resonates for me, as you say, they reflect you back to yourself, if I kind of got that right.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And that's so that's really resonant. And another thing that you said right at the beginning, was you were sort of honing in on the aspect of the process that goes underneath language.
Yeah, it seems like that's what you were up to.
Yeah, because this, well, it goes underneath the verbal language, because this is the realm of symbols, right? These are like the bookmarks.
Yeah. So
the embodied intelligence for me has been this long, broad invitation to not say goodbye intellect, not to say goodbye to it, but to expand that intelligence, just pausing to connect with the feltness of it here. Something in me just goes really quiet, and usually that's my when my word brain stops working. It's usually my invitation to just go right into the body. But it's been this beautiful ongoing invitation to sink into that level of intelligence that is underneath the waves of all the symbols we have for it, the concepts, the ideas, like in that particular writing that I think you were referencing. At the beginning, it talks about how ideas feel like dirt on parched lips that are thirsty for water, because the ideas are up here. They're up in, they're in the cloud space. And to feel that, to reconnect with that sense of wholeness, it's down here in the soil. It's down here in the earth of our embodying. So in this process, we really, in a way, it's very, very simple. And within that simplicity, there is so much more intricacy and so much more texture, because we're in touch with what's real. Not just the bookmark, but this living book.
Yeah.
And how it holds the whole of how it is for us in our family experience or our business, how it is in a living way. And there's so much knowing to be accessed.
That's so perfect. Man, that's so perfect. Wow.
You're just gorgeous ear.
Well, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's perfect. So, I mean, I am, and I'm starting to get that. That's where the real us is, and that's where the big intelligence, the infinite, really is. And I love the way you said the words are symbols, but when you go to this, what it really is, it's got so much more texture and intelligence in there. Wow. Can you, man, this is cool. How did you figure this out, or what happened to you to tell you this is what you do?
Well, nobody really figured it out. And and I just want to pause there, because it's endlessly fascinating to me how our language reflects
Right.
our intelligence. It reflects the culturals. It reflects our conditioning of where we locate our intelligence.
As if we figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as if
Right?
that's the right question. Even it's not even the right question, huh?
It's a fine question because it's a perfect entry point into what this is really about. Because this is where we all are. I call it. I refer to this affectionately as the control tower.
Yeah.
The control tower wants to be what? It wants to be in control, and it wants to figure things out. And the embodied intelligence, I kind of want to respond to your question and also just kind of follow the flow at the same time. The embodied intelligence seems to have a different approach. It's almost like the figuring has to be set aside in order to just be fully present with what wants to come here and now on its own terms.
Yeah.
Like your body or your living process.
It's so funny. I'm scribbling down as fast as I can, realizing that, Ralph, you shouldn't be trying to write all this down, except that it's so good. I'm glad I'm recording this.
Oh, and you're recording it too, so you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's enough thinking. Okay. Wow.
And a little bit about, like, more direct to how this came to be in this particular organization. So I said to you, well, nobody really figured it out, and that's because I just love just knowing this. That's because what's being referred to, I'm referring to the practice as embodied focusing. I recently started referring to it as embodied focusing. In the larger practice community, it's simply called focusing, just in case you're, interacting with others about it. I brought the embodied there because I want people to be able to make that connection right from the get-go.
That there's a body here, and it's like you're realizing that you are it.
Yeah. And the cool thing here for me anyway, I'm grateful that you brought that question came forward exactly in the way it did, because this embodied intelligence is really our original intelligence. That's why nobody figured it out. It's more like a remembering, a reconnecting. And it's this innate human intelligence that somehow over the generations has been conditioned out of us. And we're kind of using a tiny bit of our bandwidth, just a little bit of our bandwidth. And, it's something in me refers to it as sort of, it's like the disembodied, the dissociative intelligence. And this so-called embodied intelligence is really our original literacy. It's the literacy of substance. It's the literacy of reality versus the literacy that we've now sort of moved up into the control. And we live in our concepts. Or
It's kind of like the control tower has a TV screen of everything, and but the real thing is something different.
right, 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 right. The real thing, that's a really good example, a TV screen. So you're looking at a picture of a forest, but
Yeah,
it's not the same thing as walking and smelling and feeling the warmth and the breeze and the interconnectedness in the ecosystem of the living forest, right?
that's it. What does love have to do with all of this? Is it love? What's your thinking about love?
What's love got to
I
do
know,
with
that's what I was thinking. That's what I was saying.
I can't resist.
That's what I was hearing it too.
Yeah. What's love got to do with this? Love has everything to do with it from my perspective, from my experience. Because embodied intelligence is the intelligence of the whole. And for me, that means I get to have all of me.
Wow.
And the practice that allows me to have all of me, that we're calling embodied focusing, is a practice that invites me to turn towards the parts of me that seem the most unlovable, and to actually be able to love the unlovable. Because it invites me not for once, for finally I can stop fixing everything. I can stop just for now, just for today, trying to control it, trying to put my agenda onto it. And I can listen to it, let it be exactly the way it is, and invite it to let me know how it wants me to be with it. And so the feeling that I have as these words are coming, as what came, as I said before, the practice is really, and I'm remembering the poem that I shared with you. It's putting down all the tricks, all the what, and they're wonderful, like the tools and all of the things, right? And just saying, okay, I'm here. I'm really here. And what is more loving than just being fully present with something that needs our presence? It's like you're a father. And so that parent-child relationship, that experience of relating to the child or being the child being related to, the child, there are times when a child needs to be corrected and protected and all of those things. But the greatest gift, the greatest need is just, Dad, Mom, just be here with me. Just be
Yeah.
right here, right now. That full attention. And so I don't know how that sits for you, but I feel this incredible tenderness. Like
Oh yeah.
my voice just got really quiet when you you invoked that connection with love.
Yeah. 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 it's so cool because I've been playing with that with my work to to literally think about my sons, and how that feels, that love, and then go inside and actually, since it's a feeling, to feel it and go, oh, where is it? What is it? What's it doing? And just kind of stay with whatever it is, and hang out with that. And then, yeah, anything that looks like I'm doing work to help somebody isn't, it's not the whole story. It's like they're just soaking in whatever this is, and then seeing that in somebody else. So it's interesting because it sounds like you're saying to that's like to somehow notice that that's what I am too, like or something, like you're to go and sit with whatever that is, because it's in us. I'm not sure if that's the right words, but I can resonate with it because it's how I've been playing with my work, like how things are happening faster for people when I do stuff. So I feel it right now. It's like incredible. So very cool. My goodness.
Yeah, and on the work note, I can see there's so much going, so I hate to interrupt it.
Oh, it's okay. I can be up here, and also I feel it. It's just on. So yeah, totally. I'm yeah, I'm scrambling between like trying to write everything down and realizing, well, it's recorded, Ralph, but it's just so good. So but I know it's like, but it's not just to write it down and get it in your head, but it is so good to get it down on paper too. So, but yeah, but I feel it. So I got questions like um I mean, some of the seems that the ones that seem obvious to me are like what do you do? Like what do you do?
Yeah, like what do you actually do? Because we're
Yeah,
talking
because
about.
it's like, dude, this is like incredible. And so do you help people have this experience or notice or understand that, oh, this is what you really are? Or do you just float through and the universe provides for you, and like you're like living in Vancouver, for God's sakes.
Yeah, right. So, so how this works is the way that I participate, my function, if you will, is there's two sort of streams of how I explore with people, how I support people, how I partner with people. That word is very intentional. Yeah, and yeah, and one of the ways is I work one-on-one with people in a guiding capacity. So we don't really get into the how and the language. I just guide them through the process. So it's just like I take people for a swim, and in this process, and I guide them in connection with their own living embodied intelligence. So I'm not doing the process. I am guiding and supporting their connection with and their resourcing of what is innate and alive and wise and knowing and available right in. You can't see me, you can't see because
But I get it. Yeah, yeah.
and it's perfect. It's like in the screen, we're cut off almost at the neck, and this is sort of a reflection of the dominant culture. We
Yeah.
don't think this is Joey here,
Yeah.
but there's all this other landscape going on, and so just to come back to the how how this is shared, I guide people to resource their own authority and their own medicine in the context of their living intelligence. And there's very specific ways that we do that. There's certain ways of reflecting and certain invitations. And we always start by just taking some time to really land and to re-invite awareness to connect. Because a lot of us, I know for me, I was a dancer as a younger person. I still do dance, but I was a trained dancer in my younger years. And so I was doing a lot of physical stuff, but I wasn't in my body. And that's a really important distinction to make up the get-go, because sometimes when people hear embodied intelligence, they think physical intelligence.
Yeah.
And embodied intelligence is the intelligence of the whole. It's where our physical, emotional, psychological, intellect, it's where they live as one faculty before they split off and fragment into these differently named, and they're not actually different intelligences, but we've named them that way.
Yeah.
And there is actually a level to us where these so-called separate streams actually function as one whole intelligence. And that's where we play.
That's awesome. And would you say, yeah, I understand, though, I get it. Would you say because you're you have that embodied intelligence, you're accessing it, you're realizing, oh, there it is, there I am. Would you say because you're there, for lack of a better words, that that helps them recognize it in themselves too? They feel it because you're feeling it, or? Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful question. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's I want to say it's symbiotic. I'm not sure if that's quite the right word. It's
like two tuning forks or something, maybe.
That fits. That fits. The word that gets used in this practice community, which is the new word, is interaffecting.
Interaffecting. And so there's a practice community. So this is a thing. This is like people are doing this as a thing.
So this isn't just Joey just went like, oh, I think no, this
is a thing.
This is
cool.
Has been going on for about 40 years.
For 40 years. I've somehow stumbled across it now.
No. But you're right on time. And let me say something about this. You've touched on something really, really important, because this is a very common conversation. It's like, why have I heard of this? You've been around the block. I've been around the block. Most of the people we know have been around the block. Why is embodied intelligence, and why is this practice of focusing sort of not in the collective consciousness? So this book that Jen saw me reading, right, at the beach, was written about 8 or 10 years ago, I think. It is not available in the library system. I got curious about this. I'll make my point very briefly. I got curious, and I researched a couple of really wonderful books on embodied intelligence and the books on focusing. There was one book written 35, 40 years ago, one book in the entire library system. Now, yes, and I think this touches on something really important, at least for me, is that this is a reflection of the fact that our culture marginalizes embodied and living intelligence. It's so marginalized that there is only one book. You have like the most, like a library has everything. But of course, and you can buy these books from their authors and things like that. I think that is, to me, that is just so significant, and I can feel it. It's so resonant that we are at a place as a culture where the way we process and the way we, quote, think. Remember this thing about thinking's over here, feelings over here, sensing's over here. And we're trying to solve all these really big, quote, problems at the interpersonal level. And everything just feels like perpetually separate. It's disintegrated. And there's something very, 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 very important, like ding, ding, ding for me, about how that relates to how our basic intelligence itself is completely disintegrated. And my guy, Philip Shepard, he addresses this beautifully, much better than I can.
Super cool. I'm thinking, so interesting. So this is so cool, by the way, Joey. Super cool. Super cool.
I'm just watching you.
Yeah, super cool.
Process.
Okay. Let me see. How do
But one of the things I think that was really, important and in terms of sharing this with other people as well, was a very simple and foundational question about so Joey, how do you work with other people? And I was starting to say, well, I work with people one-on-one, and then there's another way that I work with people. Shall I share that as well? Yeah, I just thought I'd finish that part of it, so that it's we're talking about the process as a whole, and then obviously it's really important to get a sense of, well, like, how does this get shared with other human beings? So I do one-on-one sessions with people, and I guide them through their process. And then the other way that we work with people is in what I refer to as learning circles. So we go through a 5 or 6 week process together, and we learn the skills and steps and principles. And this is really the core of what this is about, because it's really about people accessing their and having the skills, having some framework to cultivate this relationship with their own embodied intelligence on their own, but more often in partnership. The key way that people work with embodied focusing is peer-to-peer.
That makes a lot of sense, because if it's kind of like birds of a feather flock together. Like, if you kind of get it somewhat because you figure out how to like learn these skills and things, but part of it you get it by osmosis because, well, you're part of the group, and that's what we do.
Because you get it through osmosis because you're part of the group, and that's what we do. I think you're touching on something important, because we are social animals, and I think I'm just really taking that in.
Like if little kids grew up in a system, a family, a culture where that's what everybody did, well, they wouldn't even have to be told what to do. It's just, that's what we do. It's like, that's how we communicate. And I think like a lot of the great athletes and great people of all sorts, they tend to hang around other people that do that same thing. And yeah, they might do, they go to practice and they go to training and they do stuff. But ultimately that's just who they are. And that's what the group does. And it's what the group is. And it's like, so I can see how being in a group doing this and getting used to, well, this is how we do things around here, instead of like hanging around a bunch of people that don't do that. And now you're trying to do this on your own. And it's like, it's just a whole different experience.
Yeah. And what comes for me is it's really a both and, because we really do need to sort of look at, look at how we quote do this, although the word do doesn't for me. And you really touch on something important here, because also, as I was saying before, this is not our dominant way of functioning in this culture. So in the focusing circles and classes, it is central. We start from the very first day. In between each circle, we pair off, and people right away start practicing in partnership, because it is all about, it's not about getting the theory of something. It is about living it and having it and honing it. And then it becomes part of your living process.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is after 5 or 6 weeks, people continue to have one or more partnerships, and it becomes part of their life.
Yeah, super cool. So
that's what happened to me.
Oh, that's what happened to you. You met up with.
Yeah, that's how I started. It was, for me, it was 20 plus years ago, and I was doing some work with a therapist at that time, and that therapist also happened to teach focusing. And those two relationships were very different, and it was very interesting. And when I moved from this therapist and client sort of context to a focusing partner experience, that in itself, I'm a human being, you're a human being, we are both in this love and circus together, that in itself was hugely significant for me.
Wow, so cool. And so do you have, so I got to ask this, because it's like it's so how do people like, how, so I'm going to tell people about you, and what do they just email you, or do you have a website, or do you how do people find you? What's that?
The practical stuff. Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's like, this is super cool. I've got a lot of people that find me because they want to heal, like they don't want to have their autoimmune condition or their chronic illness or their chronic pain, and a lot of them have things they want to shift in the money world, and life just isn't going like they want it to, but they know that there's a spiritual, energetic way to do things, but yet there's some physical things to actually get done too, and so there's people looking for stuff that helps them in life. And so I wanted to ask about that too, but first, I like, how do people contact you? Or like, if I was going to tell people about you, which I am, how do they give us the details? Like,
right now the details are very simple. Right now the details are very simple, and I know this sounds bizarre. At this point, the way people contact me is via email.
Email. So I got your email. Cool.
Yeah. Joey.ray
at
hotmail.com.
Yeah. ARAE, huh?
RAE, you got it.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And very cool. And so when somebody does this stuff, and that's really not the right words, but when somebody uses this technology or this way of being and this way of noticing and focusing,
when they practice focusing,
does life get better in the terms of like health, money, relationships?
Well, I can tell you about my experience and the experience of the people that I've worked with.
Awesome, because yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I love stories.
yeah, I know stories, right? So my experience is that the entry point into the practice and process of embodied focusing can be anything. It can be something's going on in my body, uh, fatigue, pain, et cetera, et cetera. All the variation. It can be something's going on in my body. The entry point can be emotional, it can be relational, vocational, financial, anything, right? And so wonderful. So we have an entry point, and the process from here is predictably unpredictable. Because, and you know this, I just, yeah, I do. We haven't had a big discussion about Rolfland yet, but my sense is we know this together. So whatever the entry point is, let's say it's physical. I have experience with this. When we start to listen to how it lives in our body, you know, it starts to tell us about the wholeness of its experience that is bigger than just where the boo-boo, where something is saying, hey, over here, right? And you start listening and you realize that the process, maybe what comes is a memory out of nowhere, or maybe within that physical something there is a profound emotional quality, or maybe we're dealing with something relational, and we start to feel something in the tummy, and we think it's all about the story, but actually there's just like this sensation, this really strong. It's like, oh wow, oh my goodness, all of a sudden feeling something in my tummy, and we follow that. And the point being that where we start is usually not where we wind up. It takes us to the whole of what needs to be heard. So I was working with a woman recently who is a highly sensitive creature, as am I. And her sensitivity manifests as sensitivity to the physical environment. That's one way that she experiences this sensitivity. And she was in full on crisis mode. She had just moved into, I work a lot with people in Australia because that's where my training took place.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And she'd lived in this home for less than a year. And she reached out to me because she was in full physical, emotional crisis mode because the toxins in her living environment, the relationship with the toxins in the living environment were profoundly unmanageable. And we didn't try to fix the problem. We didn't try to strategize, okay, to look at all the pieces. What we did was we focused on bringing her into relationship with the different parts of her experience. Part of her was angry, part of her was scared. All of a sudden, it was reminding her of her childhood home and her relationship with her father. And we kept following the process and listening to all the parts and places that needed to be heard. And she went from being completely dislocated and you're just really in a trauma response to being really clear, really focused, really mobilized, And this is a woman in her early 70s. And during the course of our 8 weeks together, we listened, we sensed, we listened, we sensed, we listened. And she is now moving from Australia to England.
Wow.
And has like moved house temporarily to a safe living environment with a friend. And her physical, her emotional, her environmental relationships have gone from like, oh, to.
That's a great story. That's great.
It is an amazing story. And honestly, when I started working with her, I was like, what do I do with it?
Yeah, because you think you have this like physical toxin issue to handle, and then it got handled. But actually a lot of other stuff shifted along the way. And
it was many levels. It was a whole life process.
Yeah.
It wasn't the physical that got expressed. It just wasn't the environment. It took her into the past. It took her into old emotional patterns. It cleared out a lot more than just her physical environment.
Wow, that's so cool. That's cool. That's super cool.
And I'm empathizing what it might be like to be on the receiving end of all of this. And I can imagine myself feeling, what do I do?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, because so people are going through stuff, physical stuff, money stuff, relationship stuff. It's the best thing to email you and then start on this process, and you figure out, do you go in this group, or do you go one-on-one, or do you group and one-on-one, or read the book, or is that like the best starting point?
So what we do is the first thing that I always do with people, we always work one-on-one. Makes sense.
You gotta hone this in.
You know, you and I have kind of done this backwards. Usually what tends to be most facilitated is not to go into the abouting and the description and whatnot, is really just to invite people into the water.
Yeah.
And actually, I was going to suggest for, I'm not sure how much time we have. I was thinking we might have another 10 minutes.
I could go a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Okay. Is maybe there's time for a little bit of focusing. Either I could go into a focusing process. I could check with my body. I thought we might.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do that, that'd be great. Man, this is so cool, Joey. This is like just so cool.
And I don't have any set ideas about how to proceed, and I think I'd really like to ask my body and also ask your body.
Well, what I can tell you what I'm thinking right now, if you want.
Yeah.
Because or maybe do I just do that? I feel like maybe that's because as we started doing this, talking, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna just ask her at the end, can I put this on YouTube right now as it is? Because this is incredibly cool. And so I would like to do that with all of your contact info and stuff like that, and then do another one of my Miracles, Magic, and Coffee, because this is turned into a super cool thing that just should be out there. And so and then when we want to talk about other stuff, we could stop the recording and then and just say, okay, so let's meet again, or we'll email back. Basically. For anybody, if this does get up on YouTube, then you're very lucky. And I about 5 minutes into this, I was going, oh my God, this is going to be on YouTube. This is going to be so good. So that's what I would like to do. And then talk to you more about like how to play with this stuff more and more with everybody that interacts with me and me too. And
Yeah, and Ralph, I wanted to jump in there because it came up before. A lot of people who are working in other healing or relational or process modalities learn focusing and incorporate it in their work.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do a version of something that I learned from a guy, and it was something that he used to clear out his inner game stuff, his inner blocks to making money, because he came from food stamps and then had to figure out his own self-worth issues and everything else, and now he makes millions of dollars, and so he's somebody that I've studied with, and he has this thing that is a way to feel instead of like to think, and shift stuff like that. And so I was using it, and then as I found out, it sounds like it's a form of this ancient meditation. And so and then what you're using sounds like a more just another a very cool way to access this same like quick thinking and just go feel this thing. It's really cool. And so so it already fits in my my way of like, oh, this is where you've got some magic here that that can give people access to shift very deep stuff, like you talked about that lady. And I think people can have all sorts of changes for all sorts of different things that are in the way of them getting healthy or money or finding the love of their life or stuff. It just seems like it's really useful. I know it is. I just anyway.
Yeah, it really does interconnect on all those levels. And I didn't want to cut you off, and there is something that wants to come here about all of this.
Okay.
Just wanted to check to see if this is a good moment to bring
Oh,
it in.
do it. Yeah.
So I think there's something really important here, that while any and all of these areas, as I said before, can be entry points into the practice of embodied focusing, into accessing embodied intelligence, for me, there is a really important distinction, and I'm just going to see how it feels. I'm just going to pause just to check with my body for a moment. For me, this process, there is this conditioning that a lot of times we start from a place is like, this isn't working well over here, this isn't working well over here. And what something in me wants to do is fix this shit and get back to business as usual.
Yeah.
And this is not that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so key. Like, you won't be the person that thought he was looking for or she was looking for this. It's like, but it's the entry.
It's the entry point.
Yeah. I totally get. I concur.
Concur, and our processes and our living experience concurs. You know.
Yeah.
We are in. It's more than consensus. We are in
resonance.
Resonance.
Yeah.
Resonance.
Yeah. Totally. It's so true. It's like what we think we want isn't what. It's like what you really want it for is something quite different than what you think you want it for.
That's a really good point too, right? So something in us wants this, and yet there may be something else rolling around here in body land that's saying, well, what I really want from that is this.
Yeah.
And the invitation is to let that emerge.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Man, that is so cool.
So sometimes what we think needs to be fixed in order for us to feel well doesn't actually change, yet our relationship with it changes, and that changes everything.
Yep. Yeah.
So my short form, my touchstone for myself, very personally, for this process is that this, for me, the trajectory has been going from business as usual, literally busyness, from business as usual to as isness, as usual. This is the distinction, that when we meet the whole of us on its own terms and learn to listen to the whole of us in its own language, we may not get the magic trick of that particular mess over there suddenly disappearing from our lives, but we get the miracle of wholeness. We get the miracle of having a loving and empathetic relationship with what is, and having needs met that we didn't know we had.
God, that is so cool. So I love this. So I got to ask this, because you live in one of my favorite places on earth, Vancouver.
Where we met, right?
Yeah, Kitsilano, Vancouver, English Bay, Vancouver, West End, Vancouver. That's just like pretty darn good. And so you live in a city that's pretty expensive for most people, and then just a few blocks away are cars that cost $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. You know, that one block of Burrard Street. So you live in a place that's not like you just get to sit on a mountain and be taken care of. Can you say anything about like the day-to-day things with doing this thing that may or may not get you what you think you want, but will get you the whole enchilada, I guess is what you might call it if you're in San Diego. That's what they would say. The enchilada is,
enchilada,
yeah, the whole enchilada. I don't know if that's the term up here or not, but I mean, I don't know what I'm asking, except that there's also the you got to make a living kind of thinking too. So for people looking for like, oh, it's a prosperity thing, I really need to figure this part out, you know, anything like,
right.
Like there's some people that want like a measurable result too.
That's important.
Is that you just like, you do your job and then you do this too, and maybe you'll get some cool financial stuff pop in that lets you do stuff in a cool way too, or like how does that work? Like when you, I mean, I know it's like the idea that we'll go feel it and stay with it and see what it's telling you, and that's good. And I can see how that could, I think that could turn into a lot of abundance in the physical level, because you are embodying what you really are, and then get to play in the world like that, and cool stuff comes to you. But anything you want to say about that?
Let's see what comes here.
And the reason I say it like this is I see people that have a lot of chronic illnesses. That's how they tend to find me. And when I surveyed them a while back, I asked them how much of what you've got is solved with money. And overwhelmingly, these people with chronic, serious conditions will say something like, "Oh, 97% of this is solved with money." And I'm like, "Wow." With money? And you know, it's like you think, well, you got to, it's about the physical condition you have, right? It's like, it's pretty serious. You've got this going on, and if I could just get enough money. And so it's kind of a funny thing on a lot of people's minds. And so I'm just curious what your thoughts are about, because you live in a city that's costs some money to live in.
Yeah, so it costs a pretty penny to live in.
Penny,
exactly.
Yeah. So anything? I mean, I'm just curious what you what you think. I mean, I've got ideas and stuff, but and then it's stuff that's working for us. But I'm just curious what you would tell somebody that's like preoccupied with day to day, make ends meet, and just got to get ahead, and whether they're in their own business or they're working for somebody else, but the money part of things, because that's like such a window into
it is. It's really important. It's part of the whole. It's the part of our whole existence, right? Nothing is separate from anything else. And our lives don't work unless all of our needs are met on all levels. And that is an important part of the whole. So to start with, the relationship with money and money issues is an entry point. So here, this is our entry point. Now, one way this can go, one way this can look is that focusing is a way that, let me just find the language for this here. And I can also feel like something in me kind of wants to just drop in underneath the words and see what comes. We said that we might want to have that as part of our exploration as well. And I'm just seeing if something wants to be said now as well, or just wants to dive in, and also check with you well. So I'm just going to pause here for a moment. You know, one of the things that can happen as we go into the focusing process and something comes up around the money, there may be a number of things that get explored in this process that come directly from focusing. Is a process where we slip off the diving board of what we think we know about a situation. What we think we know about it. We slip off the diving board, that sense of solidity under our feet, and we slide into the water of what we don't know that we don't know.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so when we slide into that water and we begin to make friends at our own pace and our own right way with the unknown, the not yet known, the deeply known that we don't yet have access to, one of the things that can happen is something will come up and it'll be like, that person, I need to talk to that person. I need to consult them about some aspect of my finances. Yes, I feel this relief in my body. Yeah, it's that person. I need to go there. Do you see what I mean?
I totally see what you mean. Yeah.
So focusing isn't a world unto itself. Embodied intelligence recognizes that Joey Land or Ralph Land or Anand Land or Miriam Land, whoever is exploring their own, but that there is also what we refer to as the shared body. There is the living body of our environment and our community. And all of these are connected, and we experience that when we go into this practice of embodied focusing.
That's so perfect.
So things occur, things literally rise up that we wouldn't have consciously made a connection about.
Like meeting on the same street at the same different times all over Vancouver.
Hello?
Over and over again. Like we met.
And so I want to tell you a little bit of my backstory about that. We're kind of just going on body time here, but how are we doing for time?
I'm good. I can go 10 more minutes.
Okay, that sounds good. Would you like to hear a tiny bit of this backstory?
Yes.
So I am in this chapter, this particular chapter of, and it kind of fits with, how do we get our worldly needs met in the process of doing work like this or whatever situation we're in, right? And I've said perhaps to you, and depending on where this needs to go next, to a few other people, that this is a process of moving from business as usual, from control, to as business as usual. And as I have been engaged in my own focusing practice, because this is the basis of working with other people, is working with myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
Always and forever, amen. So as I have been listening to my own embodied intelligence, I have been consistently and repeatedly and emphatically guided to simply align and stay very aligned with the feltness of the purpose of what really underlies this work for me. Because something he wants to get busy and wants to go out there and website and market and shake some trees and right. That's because I don't feel like I'm working unless I'm like, okay, let's do this thing. And so this is very countercultural, both outwardly and inwardly. And every time I get just focused on your purpose, actually saying to me, I want you to reside, really just focus on residing in the experience, the feltness of your embodied intelligence. And as I say that, I'm feeling myself way deep down in the pelvic brain and the abdominal brain. And it is a kind of doing that is just deeply sourced in beingness. And so I'm like, okay, let's just reside in my being intelligence. Okay. And so recently, as I was making my daily or every other daily walks to Kids Beach,
Yeah.
every so often I'd go, okay, I'm just going to just kind of remember my purpose. And I sat down, started reading my book, just minding my own business. And I started walking home. This lovely woman says, hey, we saw you, right? And, hey,
Yeah.
who are you? And what do you do? I'm just minding my own business, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what are you up to? And then her husband, Ralph, is like, wow, that sounds really cool. Could we talk about this again? And then, of course, I see you not once, but three times over the course of a week.
Yeah.
We have an appointment. And each time, right before I bumped into you, I was like, I think I'll just take a moment to say hello to my purpose. And I like bump into you.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. You were at a children's part of the playground reading a book, and I was like, that's just interesting. She's like, I don't see her having any kids hanging around right there, but she's at the children's part of this playground. So I noticed you then, and then Jen noticed you as we were about a quarter mile away when we were both walking back. That's cool. This feels so awesome. I mean, I feel it.
Yeah, and there's one more really fun part. Yesterday or the day before in the last couple of days, once again, I was just kind of walking along, minding my own business. And I was just having one of these like body intelligence burps. And something really clear, really important was just coming into my awareness. I think it was something about how we're all pilgrims at the gate of the present moment. That, you know, we're always looking for somebody else to tell us how it is. We're looking for the expert. And something
Yeah.
in me was saying, you really need to remember and remember that you're not the expert of somebody else's life.
Yeah.
That we are all pilgrims at the gate of this moment right here, right now. And that is the entry point into everything that we need to know.
God, that's so good.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to, like, we can just stay there. We can stay there
No,
as
it's
long
so
as.
I'm in there no matter what. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's good.
And then I'm just walking along, minding my own business, and I see something in the grass, and it's a $20 bill.
Useful.
Useful. I mean, it's not going to pay my rent. It's not going to pay my rent. I know it's not like people are like, so what?
But it's cool. No, it's super cool. Are you kidding me? $20 in the grass.
But it was just, I just keep having these experiences that just say this, and I'm not sharing this as a piece of advice. Quit your job and just meditate. That's not what
I'm not getting that either.
I'm saying that there is another kind of intelligence. There is another way of doing that resources a power that is deeper than our addiction to control.
That's awesome.
And that when we come into alignment with it, there is an ease and an organizing principle in our lives. To me, this is like you call your show Miracles, Magic, and Coffee. I have been, trying to be in control of the infinitesimal since I was born. And so for me to go, okay, something like get me something that's like get the website, and people keep referring. How do I find how do people come to me? A lot through referral. And then this happens. This
I know,
isn't
it's
the
so
person,
cool. Yeah,
you
that's
know?
so good to hear. I mean, it's just so good to hear. Yeah, I would like to put this on YouTube tonight, if that's okay with you.
So I will tell you that something in me is absolutely terrified of the thought of that, but I will just demonstrate focusing by turning towards that part of me.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you, thank you. I'm taking that as a yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Oh, no. We do have to check with the body.
Okay, okay. Well, my body says go, go, go. Thunderbirds are a go. Thunderbirds are a
Yeah, and
go.
I know we need to wrap up. I know
Yeah.
that we need to.
Well, it's a recording, and I'll just say if anybody sees this, we got a yes. But man, Joey, this is cool. I'll email you, and we'll get some time to talk, and of course we'll see each other at the appointed time in Vancouver or wherever. And
Yeah.
this is so cool, man. This is just so cool. I'm so glad we met, and this will be. I would love to do multiple hangouts with you and share it, and then let people know how to hang out with you and just experience this. Because even though I don't know if you officially did a focusing thing, but I feel it. I feel it right now. I'm way different than before, and so man, thank you so much. It just was like incredibly cool. I knew we were full on in a total we're getting this out to the world video mode. 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be good. So
I just would really like to just take a moment to really receive all that's here right now in the body. If is that okay?
Yeah.
So, just so much sharing and listening and hearing and feeling and resonating and curiosity and connecting and possibilities. All of that is here. And just really I'm inviting myself, I'm inviting you, Ralph, and if other people wind up listening to this, to just really taking a moment to invite this body to receive fully what's here, quietly for a moment, and to sense if there's anything here that needs to be felt or known or said briefly. We won't go on and on here. To really honor this completion, and just waiting for a moment for what comes. I'm sensing how my body feels about this being shared just the way it is. Given that I had no idea that this was going to be, recorded and possibly shared when we entered into it. I'm just really honoring my body's process to see how it really feels about this.
That's awesome.
And I'm waiting a moment for what comes. And the body's process is slower than the mind, so this is kind of just how it goes. It's like the sense of something, that something here feels it's precious, and there's kind of a sense of almost kind of protection, a care, and you can see the gesture, I think, that's coming here.
Yeah.
It says here, it's like something saying, here's something that's really precious to me. And this is coming from the body. I said hello to my fear, and that's allowed to be here too. My fear, something in me that is afraid. And so that's been said hello to. And now right here, right now, the body's speaking its own language. And it's kind of like the sense of it's entrusting it to you there in Ralphland and through you. And my hands, you know, are making the like right on signal.
Yeah.
And it's and a releasing it and a letting it go into the shared body. And there's a rubbing of my tummy and my belly. And a deep breath comes here.
Ooh.
And a thank you. And it says all good.
Yeah. I felt all sorts of little, I still feel a little bitty like there's little needles, like good needles, like little things poking out of my legs, which feels useful. Or I like the feeling, but yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, we'll check in and yeah. All right, Joey, rock on, man, woman. This was
Woman,
really good.
human, creature, living process. So maybe we'll have a check-in before sending this off.
Yeah, I'm not going to send it out until I talk to you or you get an email or something. So just yeah, I'll just hang out. And this was so great, so great. So thank you, and we'll email, and then we'll see each other, and we'll go do another Zoom thing, and just chit chat and keep seeing what shows up. I mean, I would like that. Okay, awesome. Okay, Joey, take it easy. I'll tell Jen hi for you, and
please,
Ben Baden.
Love to your crew. And,
thank you.
Thank you for the generosity and the invitation of all.
Oh, it's so cool. Thank you.
Here.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see you soon. Okay.
Okay, my dear.
Bye.
Go well.